Personally, I'm not a person who's a very ardent admirer of the monsoons, that bring this extremely vital for life rainfall in India. This image of a heavy rainfall always somehow brings this cringing imagery of muddy potholes on the roads, or somehow, those deafening blowhorns from the traffic, and it, believe it or not, it actually almost doubles or triples my time of commute to work, uh, especially where I live. That's how, it affects me. But so just recently, I was on a vacation to this very beautiful town of Shangarh in Himachal. And my time there, something just changed in me, that picturesque hilly landscape, and those apple orchards, and all of it just beautiful. And it all just was rendered clean and vibrant and beautiful by rain showers. And the only reason I'm sharing this is because that was one of those moments when I realized that nature is never not beautiful. It's we as humans and our relentless and inconsiderate actions that actually have led to the creation of a surrounding around us that is completely against the laws of nature, or rather it's not even working in tandem with nature at all. And it leaves us resenting, it leaves us resentful, and we end up blaming nature for somehow nature for our own relentless and wrongdoings. So I feel this today's session is going to help us uh, reconnect with nature again, and that's what we're hoping to achieve through this session. So over to you, Kin, and please take forward the session.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amanpreet and Divya, for bringing us here, the folks at GENOA. And we would love to invite you into this journey of today with us. And we'll start it as a culture of the Ecovillage network by an attunement to arrive, really be here and now together. So I would invite my lovely friend Amena to guide us in this attunement.
Thank you, Kin, and a warm, heartful welcome to everyone here, new friends and old friends, and really looking forward to being with community and creating more community. So this is an invitation for us to really go inwards and find attunement with ourselves, our circle of friends here today, and nature around us, and to tap into that beauty and that inquiry that's going to take us forward today. So I request all of you to just get comfortable, lean back into the seat you're sitting, gently close your eyes, rest your hands wherever they feel comfortable, on your thighs, on your heart, any place in your body that needs more energy. And let's just start by breathing into every cell and pore of our body. Taking in one deep community breath together with the intention that we are going to create community in every cell and pore of our body. And this inner community is going to resonate and attract our circles of community in the world. Breathing in and breathing out, affirm that you connect to the grandeur and beauty of the world around you, and that you honor, love, and appreciate the land that you inhabit right now. Deeply breathing into your senses, affirm that kindness, love, knowledge, and beauty is something that is going to move you forward into a heart space that is going to connect you to the work in the world. Breathing into your senses, connect deeply now with your breath to your body, to the place that you're sitting. Feel the weight of your body. And inquire what holds you in place. The beautiful energy of gravity. Does it feel like the energy of unconditional love holding and sustaining you? As you breathe in and out, focus on your breath. Focus on the temperature of your breath. As the breath goes in, it's warm like the sun. Are you the sun? And as the breath goes in, it cools down like the cooling energy of the moon. Are you the moon? Breathing in deeply into your legs and feet. Feel roots growing into the earth, into Mother Earth. You feeling like a strong tree. Breathing into your roots, breathing into the heart of Mother Earth that connects you to the cosmos and everything around you. Taking your awareness, full presence into your heart, smiling into that community in every cell and pore of your body. Visualize in your mind's eye a beautiful place that reminds you to regenerate and preserve beauty and life. Take yourself to a place, it could be a mountain, a meadow, your own garden, any place that energizes your life force. Breathing in, connect to the sounds around you in this place. What do you hear? Do you hear the birds, the bees, the breeze? Are you standing or sitting? Is there a rock that you can feel? Can you smell the flowers? What can you taste in this beautiful, blissful place in your heart? What do you feel in your body? What are the thoughts in your mind? Wherever you are in your mind's eye, take your energy down to your feet where you touch Mother Earth. See yourself bending and lifting a fistful of soil or earth in your hands. See how that feels. Smell the soil, connect to the organisms in it. What do you see, smell, hear from the soil? The soil is the bed where we plant our seeds of life and regeneration. Ask yourself today, what is it in you that needs regeneration? What is it that will regenerate in you, that will support regeneration in the world? With the soil in your hand and a seed in your heart, symbolically plant a seed today to help support life-bringing communities and life-bringing actions in the world. And as you're planting the seed in your heart, in your mind's eye, also keep the visualizations of the destruction and extinction that is being caused by our inaction. The floods, the fires, the soils dying, species dying. And once again, ask yourself today, what in me can I give as a gift to the world to resurrect life back into these spaces? In myself, in my family, and in my community. Breathing into your heart And as you close your visualization of the beauty and also the not so beautiful actions that we humans are seeing in the world, know in your heart that when we come together as community, that when we create a climate of change, that when we socially come together and commune and have conversations and create trust, that is where action takes birth from. And today, that is what we are here to do, to act, to regenerate, to create joy and beauty. Breathing back into your body, feeling the seat you're sitting on, feeling the friends you're going to be talking to and getting to know today. With a smile on your lips and a smile in every cell and pore of your body. Come back into the space, remembering your reflections on regeneration and your purpose in action in the world. When you feel ready, gently just rub your hands together, create energy, and then just intend that this energy is going into places to restore, to renew, to regenerate, to revive, to re-energize, not just us, ourselves, but our families, our communities, and for those of us joining from India and other parts, your own countries. Welcome back. And as you come back, now we're going to go into smaller groups where we can get to know each other a little more intimately, create friendship, and also share with each other our experience of being with nature, of being with Mother Earth, of being together here today in this attunement and what it evoked in you. So Kin is going to put us in breakout groups. And we have, how many minutes do we have, Kin?
We have 10 minutes in the group, group of 3 or 4, depending. And yeah, I hope it's enough for a round of getting to know each other. So you'll be automatically moved into the group now. And if you need some guiding question, you can see it in the chat. So sharing anything that is arrived in you after the attunement and getting to know each other a little bit.
Yes. And I think what might be nice is one person can keep the time, and then everybody can maybe get a minute, 90 seconds to speak, and then you can come back.
Okay, I hope everyone is ready. I'm gonna put you in the group now. Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you have a great time getting to know each other, connection, sensing in each other's vibe and interests. I would love to, if you want to share anything, your background, your interests to the big group, feel free to do so by typing in the chat. And to continue the flow of today, I would now invite everyone to maybe take a group photo together, all of us. So if you can please turn on your video, we just want to see you, really feel like connecting to a person behind all the cameras here. Yeah, and then we can take a lovely group photo together. Super. Okay. And yeah, if some of you have technical problem, you cannot open your camera, it's also okay. Okay, so I'm gonna count from 3. Prepare your best smile. 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, thank you so much. I would love to pass the ball now to Tapasay to continue.
Thank you, Ken. That was fantastic. Now, moving forward, Ken, would you be able to share the presentation? Wonderful. So, let's just wait for that to load up for a second. One thing, guys, really, this is something I've drawn up in the past 30 minutes. So it'll be more of what I speak to you guys, what I talk to you, try to connect to you guys rather than what's on the slides purely. So hello, everyone. I am Tapasay Bhatnagar. And as far as I know, there are quite a lot of young and members of the youth with us today. And I'd love for you all to know that I am one of you. Here's the relatability content for us. I am deeply motivated towards working with and for the environment and working with and for the social sector and social causes. I've had the pleasure of living across the country of India with for the purpose of my schooling, and with that, I've got the chance to actually pick up on with the perceptions and perspectives of different communities as well as the ground level scenario. Now, moving forward with my work engagements, I've had the pleasure of working in social and environment consulting as I started my work engagements. And with that, again, I had the brilliant pleasure of going across the country, working with different state governments and different stakeholders on ground impact projects. And that gave me a beautiful understanding of really what is the ground level situation, ground level reality of this entire environmental bubble that we are sort of in. Because for a layman, for an urban resident like me, it is very difficult to know about what is truly happening, what the current situation is on the grassroots level farmer, what is the situation for an enterprise, and this is really different on everyone. So now moving on to what motivates me, again, it's actually working towards change. It's actually giving myself the possible leverage of having a small part or niche contribution towards the greater change. And I love to just uh, sort of articulate all my contributions to that. And in the end, what I strive to do is I strive to render impact towards the overall environmental perspective, be it in the lieu of conservation, be it with the objectives of actually encouraging community engagement towards the sector, or to overall just have some stake to make some good. Now, can we move on to the next slide? I'll just love to talk about what the sector represents at the moment. Now, there is a huge impact on the climate that is taking place in our current scenario. We are witnessing increasing rates of accelerated temperature growth. Now, the previous report, the report that was previously referenced to, had projected around 2-degree temperature rises by the year 2040. Now, by the year 2050. Now, the timeline for that has been reduced and the projected temperature rises has increased. Now, all of this is pointing towards a very scary upcoming future, which is currently being realized, which is currently being impacted. Working with the grassroots level communities, I was able to realize how devastating and how realized the impact is. Working with the farmers know of the seasonal level changes that has happened to the environment. They know of the temperament of nature, which has completely changed in the recent past years. They know that the plants, the crops that they grew on their fields, let's say even 5 years back, they don't grow the same way. They don't grow with the same sort of help from the farmers. They need more pesticides, they need more chemicals, more additives to grow the same way, and they have a more possibility of impacting pests, being impacted by pests and other diseases. Now, all this shows the reduced resilience that that nature has to this changing environment as well, because climate change is not a new thing. It's always happened. The world has always had a dynamic climate which has changed in periodic events. What's new, however, is the rapid change that's happening. And due to the rapid change, the way that the current environment is able to sort of adapt to it is really changing. And that's really having an impact on our immediate environment, but also on what the immediate environment supports. As was rightly pointed out in our breakout group by Tanisha, everything is sort of interconnected. We live in a very holistic environment in which an impact on a very minute factor in, let's say, a forest can have an overall impact on possibly farmland that's maintained outside the forest, because that might impact the groundwater levels. Now, in such an environment, in such a fragile ecosystem, it is very important to maintain balance. And that balance is being completely disrupted at the current moment. And why is that? That's due to the anthropogenic objectives of human development. We, for extensive agriculture, for industrializing our agriculture, we are depleting the groundwater reserves. We are having excessive amounts of pesticides, chemicals, fertilizers that we're putting in just to get increased yields. But what those increased yields are sort of covering up is the increased dependence on them. It's the decreased fertility of the land, of the soil. It's the leaching that those chemicals are having on the groundwater reserves. The overall impact is something that's being overlooked at the moment, because, again, like I said, the current scenario emphasizes that the impact on the environment is just being realized. It's just being manifested, and to the grassroots level communities. Us possibly living in the urban centers are not facing it directly as of yet. We've had the sort of market push towards all of these objections of eating organic, eating healthy, but really this has not been sort of motivated by direct impact onto us. We haven't seen our family members, our neighbors being impacted, being affected by the chemical laden food that they're consuming as of now. Possibly in the future, this would become a reality. Definitely in the future, this would become a reality where eating organic, eating sustainable would not just be a privilege, it would be a need, it would be a necessity. And currently, we are at a point of time where we are able to envision that and possibly divert ourselves from such a future. Now, one other point, as I said, we live in a very holistic environment where one thing depends on the other, and balance is really important. In such an environment, the current urban centers, sort of what they propagate is the individualized living. It's the sort of everyone lives in their own bubble, be it in a building, be it in a society. It's all independent bubbles that people live in. There is the lack of community, the lack of togetherness which was there previously on. And what that emphasizes is the fragmented living that we're in. uh, One specific impact to a single subset or a single family is maybe not necessarily felt by the other, and therefore it cannot be helped by the other as well. The lack feeling of community, the feeling of culture, that's something that's slowly eroding away. And currently the market is just, as I brought up about the nature of organics and sustainable nature, it's bringing these topics up as a topic of privilege, as a topic for the elite. It's not necessarily pushing these for a market level or a economic feasible reality. As now, it's very important to understand, possibly, let's say, 100 years ago, when the shift from manual labor to industrial revolution occurred, there was a lot of investment that was required. So definitely the shift from our current exploitative operations to the future oncoming regenerative and sustainable operations would require, again, a sustainable investment too. And this would be even greater in magnitude to the last investment that was required, because now we just don't have to change, we also have to amend and sort of heal what we harmed in our previous change, as well as transition to the new normal. So this investment is not being currently realized by the market. It is waiting for the consumer demands, for the consumer, that is us, to demand the new thing at a greater magnitude to actually reason out that change. If you can move on to the next slide, please. Uh, Thank you. The next slide, please, Ken. Thank you. Here are some of the little breakdowns of the current impact which can be felt in different sectors of the country, just to emphasize on this is not something that's isolated in nature. You and I, possibly living in India, possibly living anywhere around the world, are prone to the same level of impacts. But it's not the nature of impact, it's not the nature of where we are that matters, it's the actual impact that manifests itself in different avenues of our life, be it our financial lives in sense of failing markets, in or our direct physical lives in terms of health, which is being affected by the degrading environment, the uh, degrading air, degrading water qualities, or the social life, which is being affected by the isolated living structures, which was further brought up by the recent lockdown, by the recent COVID-induced lockdown. And this is some of the avenues in which it can actually manifest itself into. And the lockdown in particular, this was a beautiful. Again, it was a horrendous thing which happened, but to view it in a more positive light, it was an opportunity for us to actually see what the actual impact of this isolated living is. It's sort of leaving us more vulnerable to the harms and to the sort of the consequences of these impacts, as we lack the social resilience to actually overcome them. If you can move on to the next slide, please, Ken. Now, what the future holds. Now, when the consumer demand shift, when the consumers start demanding more sustainable, more regenerative goods, when you and I start talking to 4 more people and those talk to 8 more people, when this community grows, only then will the producers, who are largely the greatest emitters of all the gas or dangerous gases and the largest contributors to the environmental degradation too, will they be motivated to take part in the change too? And that is something which you and I are completely going to be responsible in the longer run of things. And when that happens, will we be able to achieve a circular economy in which there is a balance of operation between one thing and the other, where agriculture completely supports the environment in sense of not degrading it further with what we want, and our extractions are completely supported by what we give back to the environment as well. Sustainable regenerative operations such as sustainable agriculture, sustainable living environments, these things would hopefully reach a point where they are realized by the market before they are needed by the market. You and I will be able to live in sustainable households in which we capture our own rainwater and preserve our own water expenditure, water expenses without the need striking us, in which where we won't have water to possibly survive. So we are at the moment of time where we can actually go about and propagate this change before this change sort of demands itself on us. Now, environmental conservation is sort of directed towards limiting the environment to a protected area, let's say to a wildlife sanctuary, and completely eliminating it from the rest of the ecosystem. Now, this is something which would require change as we move forward as well. Coexistence is something that's going to be vital. Balancing one life with the other, balancing the animal life with the plant life. That is completely going to be vital moving forward. And that is something which is going to be a core component as well. Now, all of these things, these are very different things which are going to be required, which are in respect to what is happening. Now, how can we move about these changes? This is where this is where the fact of partnerships come into place. Partnerships with partnerships which emphasize and sort of help move into this line of change. And one such avenue for partnership is with eco villages. Now, what eco villages sort of represent is uh, co-living engagements, is community engagements which are respectful and which are completely regenerative in nature, to the fact that they don't harm the environment that they live in. They balance out their overall impact and their overall footprint on the environment. And such uh, such manifestations of such manifestations of community are going to be vital when we move forward partnerships with the more with the more commercially tuned manner of operations, partnerships with the more residential or the more living or the more humanly or the more social objectives. It's going to be vital as we move forward, as is the case I pointed out, is that it's not you or I who can actually make this change happen. It's how many people we can actually engage in this change, because in the overall scheme of things, it is a race that we are all involved in. Even if one person loses out, the race is not over yet. So this is something that I totally believe in. This is something that is required for the future run. It's that we all work together to actually not just to turn this fact from something that you and I can talk joyfully about to something that we actually help change for the betterment of the future. Thank you. That'll be all from my side, Kin.
Thank you, Tapasay. So Tapasay has helped us to draw a very comprehensive picture of what we are in, and that I think the sharing from Tapasay can resonate with a lot of us. At least in my breakout group earlier, we have 3 persons that are very actively working under many different solutions towards climate change, toward learning to go back to nature and education. So I think in other groups, you might also find a lot of resonance with this. And drawing a big picture like this, also, it's a way for us to realize that we're in a very strange time in the human history, in a way that we're dealing with a lot of crisis, but at the same time, we are seeing so many opportunities, so many solutions popping up everywhere. And that's where GEN, the Global Ecovillage, come in. And I would love to give you a very brief introduction of GEN, Global Ecovillage Network, from my point of view, and then we'll dive deeper into what is Ecovillage, what are the practices in Ecovillage, with the sharing from Amena a bit later in the call today. So to start, I'm just gonna share with you my slide as well. One second. Okay, so GEN, I don't know how many people in the room have heard about GEN or the Global Ecovillage Network, or how many of you have heard about Ecovillage. So we're gonna dive a bit into Ecovillage and the practices later, but about GEN first. So GEN is the network internationally of ecovillages, eco-communities around the world, of people who are trying to make a difference in their local context, with their communities, with people around them. So the work of GEN, it's mostly to connect these people, these practices. There are a lot of people and practices on the ground, and GEN connects them so that there will be an amplification of interest, of impact, of power. And we also want to catalyze more and more communities transitioning toward a more regenerative outset. GEN has the regional branch of GEN. So there's GEN in Europe, GEN in North America, South America. And for us, me, Tapasay, and Amena in the call today, we are from GENOA, the GEN in Oceania and Asia. And you might see here that we also have Next Gen, which is a youth brand of GEN. And what is it like to be in GEN, in the Global Ecovillage Network? I really find it difficult to describe what is the difference when I was just a single person working on environment issues in Vietnam, and now that I'm in a global network. So I would like to invite you to watch a short videos, which I find embraced a lot of the essence of what is it being in the Global Ecovillage Network. So I'm gonna play the video in a bit, but I would just want to invite you that at the end of the video, if you can just type in the chat some words that come up in your mind when you watch the video, it could be anything. It could be feeling, it could be any object, a topic, anything that comes into you when you watch the video. I hope that's okay. So we're gonna start the video. I'm just gonna check the. Okay, I'm gonna start now. Enjoy. Did you hear the sound as well? So I'm not sure if it's only the voice or both the voice and the video come through. I hope that you can hear the sound too.
Yes, we did, Kim.
Super. Okay, so yeah, how do you feel? Please just take 1 minute or two to type in the chat what words that comes to you after you watch this video. So I see a lot here. There's Auroville, community, joy together, joy, togetherness, engagement, happiness, satisfaction, connectivity through joy, energizing, peace, in togetherness, diversity, wow, beautiful, positivity, laughter. So being positive, yes. So whatever the words that you put here, it's really one of the best that can describe how I feel about being in Ecovillage movement, being together with people of the Ecovillage movement. I feel all of those things that you have shared. Well, not all at once, but at different times. I went through all of these. I feel connection, I feel peace, I feel joy. And also, as you can see, the Ecovillage networks have people that are working on regeneration on the ground with solution ranging from agriculture, from building, from energy. But we're not just stopped at the solution, at the mind level. We also go deeper into the heart level of connection, of celebrating our culture. And that's why going into the Ecovillage network makes me feel really belonged and feel motivated to continue my path. So I remember the first time that I know and started to join the Ecovillage network was when I joined this Ecovillage design education in Thailand. I was being in environmental education, and I felt a little bit frustrated with my own career because I felt like I'm not sure if what I'm doing is making a difference. I'm not sure if I should still be doing this because I see so much destruction, so many bad signs going around me, and I also see like people don't seems to join me in what I do. So I was at a very low point of believing in what I was doing at that time. So I joined this, it was a training of 1 month. And we learn about Ecovillage design, we learn about different practices in Ecovillage around the world. And in case of you don't see me, I'm here in this photo. And after joining this, I get all of the feeling that you have mentioned in the chat. There was times that I felt like my nerd part is really being fulfilled because I learned so much about the different designs, a holistic way of looking at things, but I also get the connection part and the part of feeling alive, feeling connected. So I think for me that this is really what represents the Global Ecovillage Network. On a bigger scheme of things, we are a global network, but we are rooted in the local network in every country, in every region, and we share a lot of things in common. So for me, finding my place in the Global Ecovillage Network, it's finding our like a tribe, my tribe in a way. So it's not just about me wanting to do something to make a change and others wanting to do the same and me learning how to do it. But I think the best part of being in a network is you have the companionship. You have people to boost you up when you're down. You have people to nudge you to go forward, to learn from. And also a part of doing the networking in Global Ecovillage Network, and also advocacy, showing the decision maker how people are making the change in the ground, how people can really make a difference if they join together. And we are doing it in, we bring our initiatives and solutions to COP, we bring it to government in different countries as well. So this is where I see companionship and community can show their power. And coming back a little bit to our network in GENOA, we have a set of vision that we can create a world of regenerative culture with communities through connecting. So a lot of our works is about connecting people, connecting hearts and souls, sharing the best practice, sharing what people are doing in different parts of your country or in different parts of the world, promoting ecological lifestyle, and support whoever wants to make the difference, whoever wants to make this transition. So as you might heard that there are a lot of intentional communities where people out of their own will coming together and live and design their own life that in more harmony relationship with nature and with each other. But there are also many communities that are traditional communities and transitioning, looking at their own lives and transform it into a more holistic and rounded and eco lifestyle. And that happens in both rural area and urban area as well. And so that is why we're here as GENOA, as Global Ecovillage Network. And that's also why we would love to connect with you more after this. And I will share at the end as well a few resources. And this is our website where you can also read more information. But now I would just like to stop now. My part of my understanding of Ecovillage and Jen to pass to Amena, who will take you into a deeper dive into the Ecovillage design and what's happening in Ecovillage. Over to you, Amena.
Thank you, Kin, and thank you, Tapasay. I think before we move on any further, I would just like to maybe open the circle for 3 minutes to get any reflections, feedback, comments, any realizations, any experience of people who are already living in community. Yeah, just please feel free to share before we go in.
Thank you for sharing the video. It really took me back to my times in Oroville, and I had goosebumps seeing the video and the music and everything. It was a wonderful experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I think one of the treasures of, I think, being in community is that it leaves you with memories that fuels your action. And going back and visiting them keeps you moving forward. Yeah. So anybody else? Any questions? Yes, please.
I never had any opportunity to live in a community, but I look forward to be one. And yes, because of this COVID, I could have interaction with many of the organizations virtually and be a part of their family. But I eagerly wish and look forward to be a part and member of GENOA as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Kasturi, I see you. Kasturi, I can't hear you, but I know you're speaking. Kasturi is a dear friend of mine who lives in the Philippines. And yeah, you're muted, my dear.
Yes, okay. I'm planning to join this for a long time, as you know, but as soon as my project in hand, which I'm doing in ADB right now, is over, I'm looking forward to, connect with this and be more active with whatever I can.
Yes, we would love to have your experience and skills with us, Kasturi. Thank you.
And I love your new haircut.
Thank you. Yeah, this is internal regeneration expressing itself externally.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah, becoming more and more natural. So, okay, thank you. So on that note, once again, hello from Amena and TI Ecovillage in India. I'm going to just begin by sharing my screen. I would like to just invite you into the space that I live in and the nature that is my community in TI Ecovillage. TI Ecovillage is part of GENOA's network, and last year we also won the Hilda Jackson Award for the best ecovillage in the world.
Wow.
And, so I will invite you to journey with me into TI with this 1-minute video so you know where I am.
Namaste from TI Ecovillage in Bengaluru, India, a nature's gem providing employment to 40 helping hands and hearts from neighboring communities. Our primary activities demonstrate growing soil and food security through our permaculture gardens and food forests, replenishing underground water, consuming less energy, planting 100 indigenous trees annually, promoting a zero-waste culture. A sanctuary for flora and fauna, we are an urban transition project. Our special feature is that we are an exemplar for living ecologically in a cityscape, showcasing how barren land can be regenerated, where 1/3 of the land is for human consumption and the rest for conservation of natural living systems and habitats. We are committed towards solutions for self-sufficiency in food, water, and solar energy, with the goal of generating and sharing surplus. Funds will initiate an eco-education project to share our privileges and blessings, to educate, to create equality and fair share for those in our networks.
So that was the space that I live in, and I moved back to India early of the 20, last year, a year and a half ago, just when COVID happened. And before that, I used to live and work in the Philippines, and I have a lot of my Filipina sisters here supporting me today. So thank you, Marilyn and EI and Maui. And we did a lot of regeneration work in the Philippines. I co-created a permaculture farm there, worked at rural levels with permaculture, regeneration, and in the urban sector with sustainability, SDGs. How do we help urban areas and corporates become eco-villages? And now back in India, I live here in TI with my partner, Bridge. And one of our, I think, great dreams and desires, which I want to share with you today, is to create more eco-villages like TI Ecovillage in India and to scale this movement, and also to really create vigor in the youth to join us to create Next Gen India and to create Gen India. And in that capacity, I'm also working with a friend of mine here, Sumedh, who you heard earlier on. He's working on creating a new community, which is about nearly an hour away from Auroville. And our plan is to really connect to more and more people and whoever can to help us create eco-villages and then come live there, work with us, and create this whole new civilization and culture of regeneration. So I'm going to now just dive into why eco-villages and why they're so special to me, even though, you know, I just worked on, say, agriculture and farming in the Philippines. And when I got connected to Jen, after I did a workshop of the trainers in Oroville in 2018, I realized that I think networks are the answer to the world. We cannot continue to work in silos, in single, because that success is not going to generate energy for the change that we need. And we as humanity are one organism, and we have to come together and connect. And only when we connect will that scale take us into, I think, a healed and a more caring climate, socially, politically, and ecologically. So that is what I really, I think, admire about the Ecovillage network, is that it is a holistic way of bringing about regeneration. So just give me one more minute and I'm going to share with you. So as this loads, I just want to first take you into this map of India and to connect you to all the eco villages and eco projects that exist here for those who feel seeking to connect to more regenerative work. So this is where we are here in Bengaluru. The blue dots are a collective of eco projects and villages, and the red dots are just singular projects. So you can go into this link, which we can share with you, Ken will share with you, to explore if you need to travel and to create more eco experiences in India. And the reason I think eco-villages concept or the approach is something that we need to scale is because it is an integral whole system thinking, like I mentioned. And it's, for me, what it did for me was that it brought together work that is really happening at high level, political, government, corporate level with the SDGs. And, you know, the 5 Ps of, say, taking care of planet and people, prosperity, peace, and partnership. But then how do we ground it, like Kin said, in grassroots action and grassroots activation of purpose for people so that they feel that they belong to this whole theory of change, that when I change, my community changes, then my country changes and the world changes. It's really not about governments and the UN telling us this is what we need, no poverty, zero hunger, good health. But it is us coming together and figuring out on our land what is our system, and then looking at it from a cultural, social, economic, and ecological view. So the eco-village approach is really this mandala that you see on the right side, which is really entrenched in multi-dimensional action, not saying that the SDGs approach is limited, but what it is, it does not really give people power to engage locally. It is so high level that people really cannot figure out where do they act. And a lot of us then, I think, land up in eco anxiety, or just like, I really don't think with the work I'm going to do is going to create a shift. So when you come into the eco-village approach, it empowers you to act from a whole system thinking perspective. And this is the tool that was developed by the Global Eco-Village Network, but it was developed by engaging communities around the world, maybe 5,000 to 6,000 communities around the world. And they came up with this map of regeneration. And this map of regeneration has for us now become a toolkit to design and to think about regeneration and how do we design communities. So I'm going to just take you into this. Sorry. Can you see this now?
Yes, Amena.
Okay. So the map of regeneration has 5 main dimensions. At the center of it is really the whole system thinking and integral thinking, that how do things interconnect and how do things influence each other. And there are 6 principles to each dimension. And this is a whole system dimension. It's not very clear, but later on you will be able to experience this on your own. So the questions we really ask when we are designing an eco-village or designing an approach to living with an eco-village approach to life, or even creating an inner eco-village in your heart, is how do we engage all stakeholders in the design of change? How do we learn from nature? How do we identify assets and needs and leverage points? How do we really adapt our solutions to scale from grassroots to the world level? How do we really spread, one by one, the principles of regeneration? How do we embody these principles? And this we do through diving into 4 other dimensions. For me personally, one of the most important dimensions to really regenerate in ourselves is this cultural dimension, is to create this new culture, this new civilization of regeneration, where we ask ourselves these questions about, what is my vision for the world? What is my higher purpose? And how can I nurture mindfulness and self-reflection, which can then impact the work I do in the world? How do I take daily action to reconnect to nature? And how do I embrace a low impact lifestyle? Can I enrich my life with art and celebration? Am I on a daily basis, honoring indigenous wisdom, but yet looking at science and technology and innovations to marry and bridge the two? And lastly, how do I actively engage to protect communities and nature? So when we work with the cultural dimension and we design a project, at the heart of it is really the culture of the people, the place, the past, the present, and the future. One of the other dimensions is the ecology dimension. Wherever we are living, how do we live in harmony with ecology, where ecology can really be cherished? And in that process, we do a lot of work that is related to regenerating the natural systems and our environment, looking at, clean water cycles. How do we make our buildings that are green and innovate with technologies that have a low carbon footprint? How do we increase biodiversity in our ecosystems? How do we work with waste? How do we move towards renewable energy? And finally, how do we really create food sufficiency and food security by saving our own seeds, taking care of the soil, and also spreading regenerative agriculture? Another dimension that we look at as a tool to design our ecosystems and our eco-villages and also our personal lives is the social dimension. The social dimension is very critical to really design community that is a peer-to-peer community that is based on equality and justice. And in this process, we go through a lot of different trainings and experiences where that social self, that social equitable self that believes in the oneness and interbeing of all can come alive. And we do this by nurturing diversity and cohesion. We develop fair, effective, accountable institutions within our eco-villages. We practice conflict facilitation, communication, peace-building skills. We empower our communities by participatory decision-making and shared leadership. We ensure equal and lifelong access to education for sustainability and regeneration. And finally, the main aim is really to promote health and well-being and healing for all. Like Tapasay said, how do we move forward from the damage that we've done to become healers of our planet and ourselves? And finally comes the economic dimension, which is really important for all of us, right? How do we really look at money and our economy in a new regenerative lens? How do we reconstruct the concepts of wealth and work and progress? How do we ensure equitable access to land and resources, cultivate social enterprise, increase economic justice? How do we use banks and currencies that strengthen communities? And finally, how do we help people commit to responsible production, consumption, and trade? So I think why this is being shared here on this forum today is because we all need tools for regeneration. We all need principles that guide our life. So if I now invite you maybe to just take one deep breath with me and close your eyes and to think of one principle in your life that has guided you to this point, that is regenerative, that is renewing your spirit every day, your inner resolve to be part of the change. Let's just take a deep breath. Quieten our mind. And coming back into this space, if you could just maybe type out into the chat one principle in your life that you have committed yourself to. And it could also be something that you've taken from the map of regeneration of Gen and the 4 dimensions and the whole systems, or it could be just your own, something that we can then continue to add and develop into this map of regeneration. You're also welcome to turn on your mics and share. So yes, thank you. So keep this principle close to you because it is really your guiding light, I think, that'll keep you working in the space of regeneration. And as we go forward, please also continue to think about regeneration. What does it really mean to you? And how is sustainable development different from regeneration? And how can we, create a conversation between sustainable development and regeneration? How we have to first reach into a place of, I think, being sustainable, which we are not as a humanity today. And that place we can reach only when we begin to regenerate ourselves internally and externally. And my journey, I think, with the global Ecovillage and also the honor and privilege of living in such a abundant and endowed environment like TI was actually a gift of really doing that inner work and really doing, all those things that need to be done to eliminate the layers of disconnection. And that is what has brought me to this work that reconnects. So I would say that Ecovillages and the work that Jen and GENOA does and other people like you on this call is really that work that reconnects. How can we create reconnection to ourselves and nature and our community, even though we live in cities? And what is going to be that tool? What are going to be our principles? What dimensions of regeneration are we going to look at? And how are we going to co-create projects and designs together to really do this? How are we going to assess where we are and where we need to go? So Jen has a lot of tools for that. One of the tools that we have is the Ecovillage design cards. And the Ecovillage design cards is something that you can buy on our website, but currently because of COVID and unable to really move things across the globe. We've created an online version of the Ecovillage design cards. And the invitation now for you is really to go into this link. I think will you be able to share it, please?
Yeah, I'm going to share the link in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And I'm going to just bring this slide on. So when you click on the link, you will be taken to a page. And what you really need to do is draw a card from the deck by clicking here, draw one. And I would say just leave that card like a tarot card, like an intuitive little angel, a guide that's come to you to make you think deeper, or maybe even give you any guidance to your work. And you draw a card, and then you can write down what's on the card, or you can just remember it, maybe take a snapshot, print screen. And what we're going to do after that is we're going to go into breakout rooms, and then you're going to share about your card, what it invokes in you, what it reminds you. But most importantly, we would like you to use this card as a process, as an impulse in you to maybe co-design a project idea or an action that you would like to take in the world. So for example, for me, if I was to draw a card just thinking about this, nurture mindfulness and self-reflection, right? So every time we think of building a project or an action we want to do in the world, how will I integrate this principle so that more people can learn from it and grow from it and change from it and be reminded of the things that are essential for renewal and re-energization of life.
Amena?
Yes.
Since we are in the time of completing the webinar, so I'm going to just create a smaller group, so maybe in pairs.
Yes.
And I'm going to put the breakout room for 5 minutes. So 2-person in 5 minutes, you can draw a card, you can share what does it mean to you. You can also share anything around the Ecovillage cards that you see there. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, sure. And then I think that the card can continue to guide them. And even that group of 2 people can come together and see what it inspires them to do in the world.
Super. So the link is in the chat, everyone. You see the teamyurl.com/GenCardPicker. And when you click on it, you wait for a little while. A browser will show up where you can draw a card, and then hold on to that card and you can share about it in your group of 2. And you can feel free to share about anything else as well. Okay. So I'm gonna put you into the group now.
To have a link, so I shared it with my partner.
Super. That's okay.
Okay.
So I got the card of equitable access to resources.
Maybe if you
am I
want, you
audible?
can also type, yeah, for the others, you can type your card in the chat. And Pranay, go ahead.
Yeah. So I believe like no matter who the individual is or who the community is, like unless and until we ensure that there is no equitable access of land and resources, the inequality will definitely exist. And this is where one of the SDGs that we all aspire to work on. So when it comes to resources, again, we have different kind of resources. So not just the land, but again, we have many resources like educational resources or health resources or anything as such. So I also wish and aspire to work in this direction as well, where we can ensure the equitable access to all kind of resources, to all the community and all the sections of the people that we live in.
Beautiful, thank you. Maybe one more sharing of the card from someone.
I don't know if anyone else wants to go, but then for me, it was the rethinking of the concept of wealth, work, and progress. Because I think a lot of us are moved into one dimension currently of wealth being a monologue. It's normally when you talk about wealth, it's money. But the thing is, there's so many other forms of wealth that people don't even recognize, and then only when you don't have it, you realize the lack of it. For example, well-being. For example, relationships, right? For example, for those who don't understand other forms of wealth, I think it becomes a monologue. So I think somewhere there, for me, it's the reconstruction of that which really motivates me to work on for a long term.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the Ecovillage cards is it's a great tools that we can use to just randomly remind us of something. Like if you are in a project and you want to test if you are forgetting something in the spectrum of regeneration, you can just use this tool and then you click. Maybe the universe will send you a message reminding you of one aspect that you might be neglecting in what you're doing. So I also really love the cards. Amena, would you like to close this part?
Yes, thank you, Kin. So, so I think the encouragement for all of you here is really to stay connected to us, stay connected to the principles of regeneration and the resources of Gen and GENOA, and continue the conversation. Like I said, you know, to create a climate for change, we need to create social change first, which happens in conversations and community. So happy to stay connected to all of you. Please write to us. Anything you need support with resources, with education, with mentoring, with to be connected to projects, we'd be happy to support. Kin will be in touch with all of you, and you will get more information on eco-villages from us, wherever you are, if you want to get connected to them, if you want to experience a life in an eco-village, you want to volunteer with us, if you want to take a deeper dive into the 5 dimensions, there are courses available on the GEN platform, learning platform, and also on the Gaia education platform. We also have an ambassador program that you can apply for and train for. And finally, I think this call to action is really, this was about regenerating ourselves and in the process, India. And how do we become that next gen? How do we really support grassroots level change that will become change for our only home, which is planet Earth? So you will get more information from us. And yes, and for those of you who have a little bit of time, I don't know, Kin, do we still have a time to get feedback, do a quick Mentimeter, how everybody's feeling? Or are we on time and everybody would like to exit?
We can also do it quickly in the chat, maybe.
Okay.
Yes.
So yes, I think as a closing circle, just put in the chat how you feel, maybe one takeaway from today, one action that you would like to commit yourself to. And let's stay in touch.
Okay, so thank you all of you for being here with us today, and a warmest gratitude to our friends from GENOA for connecting with us today and sharing their beautiful and amazing insights and experiences. And yeah, we hope that we were able to inspire or just nudge you guys towards a bit more regenerative lifestyle that helps you reconnect with nature again. And we hope to see you in more of our upcoming sessions. So please do stay connected with us. Yeah, that's it for today. So thank you guys. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you
to unmute and say bye.
Thank you for
Thank you,
creating this
everyone.
platform for conversation and climate for change. Thank you. Lots of love
Thank
to
you.
everybody, to my
Thank
friends.
you, everyone.
Yeah.
Look forward to connecting.